What is going on, everyone? Xavier here, and today I am back again with yet another Make Academy lesson. If you're just joining us, I'm documenting my journey from complete beginner to running my own AI automation agency. I'm following a 3-phase plan to get me there, but it all starts with mastering workflow automation. That's why we're speeding through these lessons. Now we're still in the middle of the basic section where we just learned about format date functions. Today I'm covering units 4 and 5 of the transforming data using functions course. We're learning about the average function and the format number function. But anyways, if you want the full breakdown of my business plan, I'll put that video up there as well as in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into today's lesson. Okay, here we are, unit 4. Let's get into this introduction for transforming data with average functions. Unit introduction. You are now at the 4th unit of the Transforming Data Using Functions course of Make Basics. You are going to continue learning about different functions, and in this unit, you will focus on the math functions, and in particular, the average function. You will learn what this function does and how to use it in a scenario. I'm gonna click next. Math functions in Make. Make has a wide variety of math functions, which allow you to add numbers, round numbers to the nearest number without decimal points, calculate an average in a set of numbers, and more. In this unit, we'll show you how to use math functions in Make. We'll focus on the average function for this example. Okay, click next. The average function. This function calculates the average value, also known as the arithmetic mean, of a group of numbers. The average is the sum of all values divided by the number of the values. For example, calculating the average of the numbers 10, 24, and 35 returns 23. For this to work, you need to provide at least 2 numbers to the function. The average function might be useful, for example, if you want to calculate the monthly average profit of your online store over 12 months. So y'all know I'm bad at math, so good thing it does it for us. I'm gonna click next. An example of using the average function. You are going to practice using the average function with your familiar weather and Google Sheets modules. You are going to create an output that will show you the formatted date, building on your knowledge from earlier, and the average temperature at that time. Your scenario should look like the one below. Before you start, ensure you have set up the basic functions Google spreadsheet from Unit 1 of this course. If you haven't set it up already, now would be a good time to do it. So yeah, I think this is the scenario that they're talking about with our description for this was for text functions. Yeah, I think we got everything. So I'm gonna click next slide. We want to get the average daily temperature for today. In our example, we set London, UK as location, but you can set the location up to your preferences. Add the weather, get daily weather forecast module. Tick today and enter your location. Click the image below to see how the mapping for the weather app should look like. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. I guess, I don't know if they want us to make another scenario, but maybe they're just having us edit it a little bit, but that's how it looks in our scenario too. Just click today, location by city, and your city. I'm gonna click this next slide. Insert the Google Sheets add a row module to the weather module. Connect your Google account. In the spreadsheet ID field, map use case, basic function spreadsheet. Under your sheet name, choose math functions, and click the image below to see the Google Sheets mapping. Okay, so I believe we're adding a different Google Sheets add a row module. I'm not really sure, so I'm gonna just unlink this for now, and then I'm gonna come down here to the plus, add a Google Sheet, add a row. This time I'm gonna make sure that it's configured to the math sheet. I don't think you can have more than one sheet in a Google Sheets module, so I would either have to like have a, a router, right? I would need a router, which is in this flow control, and I would need to like separate it and have conditions if I wanted to have both of these connected, which is possible, but it's just it's a little extra work right now. So I'm just going to disconnect it and leave it over here, and yeah, we'll just configure a separate one connected to the original weather module, and just make sure the sheet name is math functions. And then I think that's as far as we're gonna go right now. I'm gonna save it and save the scenario as well, and let's see what we gotta do. So I'm gonna click next slide. Under values, you're going to map the following. In the date field, add the date. You might want to format the date so that it shows in your preferred format. You covered this in the previous unit, so it's a good time to use your new knowledge. If you need a bit of reminder on how to format the date, click here. Okay, so in the date field, we're gonna map the date for the weather module. I'm gonna try to do it without looking at the hint first. So in date, we need to go to a function, and we need to go to format date, right? And then after the semicolon, for sure, we gotta put like the preferred, which I'm just gonna say month, day, year, like that. But in front, I'm pretty sure we put now, right? I remember now. So in the date and time functions, we put now in front of the semicolon, and then yeah, I think that's it. So I'm gonna just check and see if I did it right. Format date, now, semicolon, and then yeah, cool, awesome. So I'm gonna click next slide. An average temperature field, you're going to map the average temperature for today. In order to do this, you need the maximum and minimum daily temperature. Start by adding the average function in the field. Add temperature minimum between the open parentheses and semicolon, and temperature maximum between the semicolon and the closed parentheses. Notice how when you hover over these items, the number data type shows. Your field mapping should look like this. All right, so we're just mapping average and then putting temperature minimum and temperature maximum in that average temperature field. So back in the Google Sheet, average temperature, which is B, we're going to go into math functions, and then we're going to take average, which is right here in between the parentheses. We need to go into our star tab here, and then we're mapping the temperature. Wait, where's max and min? Yeah, so if I remember correctly, there used to be a drop down here that you could open and you can see the maximum and minimum, but yeah, I'm not seeing it. I might be missing something, but I am trying to see if this works, because this is what it looks like in the example. Shows temperature, looks like there's a space after the colons. So I'm not sure if this is actually gonna work. It's letting me save it, but yeah, like it doesn't look the same as it does in the example. So hopefully it works out. We're gonna try it out, but I don't know. I'm gonna click next slide. Click OK to save your mappings. Now click run once to test if your scenario is set up correctly. Navigate to your Google Sheet to check the changes that happened. You should have the date and average temperature for the day. Here's an example of what we got. Note that your results might be different depending on location and weather. So yeah, let's run this and see if it does anything. So if we go into the spreadsheet, there's nothing here. I'm going here, run once. Yeah, sorry. I was trying out this credit usage tab they just added, but I'm gonna just leave it how it is. Let's see if we got it. Yeah, see, we got it in a, so it looks like our date worked, but the average temperature data did not do what we were expecting it to do. Okay, well, this is get current weather. Oh, hold on. I think I understand the problem here. Yeah. All right, so I'm an idiot. The weather module we were supposed to be using, it's the get daily weather forecast module, not the get current weather module, which is what we were trying to get the average of the minimum and maximum temperature of. That's why we weren't seeing those additional mappable items. So now if we go back into our Google Sheets add a row module, our new one, connect all our stuff again, basic functions, sheet name, math functions. We'll just have to remap these. Actually, I might be able to just copy. I'm just gonna remap everything, whatever. And then in average temperature, we're gonna add the math function average. We're gonna put a semicolon. In front of the semicolon, we're adding temperature. See, now we have a drop down, temperature minimum, and after the semicolon, we're adding temperature maximum, just like that. Save it, and we can run the scenario. Look back at the spreadsheet, and now you can see we have our information. So yeah, that's a good example of making sure you're running the right modules and you know exactly what you're doing. Simple mistake, I just had the wrong weather module running. That's why we couldn't see the mappable items, right? So now we know that the get daily weather forecast module is the one that we can map the extra information inside these with the favorites tab, right? Cool. I'm glad we sorted that out. Looks great. Now we can click next. More math functions. You know how to get the average of numbers in Make now. Good job. There are other math functions in Make. Feel free to explore them on your own. Click on each function on the image to learn more about it. We will cover more of these in our next courses, such as format date. You might also want to check out this post on the Make community or the Make Help Center article if you want to learn more about functions. All right, so yeah, we got a bunch of different math functions we got here. I'm gonna click on seal. Rounds up to the next whole number. For example, for 2.2, seal is 3, okay? Then we got floor. Rounds down to the previous whole number. For example, for 2.8, the floor is 2, okay? So these two are pretty much the opposite of each other. Oh, okay, so it's ceiling and floor, I gotcha. Okay, so then we got max. Finds the largest numeric value in the set of data you specify. For example, max 23 semicolon 78 semicolon 1234 returns 1234 because that's the biggest number. Minimum finds the smallest numeric value in the set of data you specify. So the opposite, smallest number. We got round, rounds a numeric value to the nearest whole number. For example, round 1.3 would return 1. Okay, so rounds to nearest whole number, okay? Then we got sum, adds values you specify. For example, sum 23 semicolon 78 semicolon 1234 returns 1335. So it's just adding them together. We got parse number, converts string to number in numeral system. So it basically just takes away the commas and the periods. It's just a format of writing the number. This one has extra stuff like commas and periods, and this one is just it's just written out with none of that extra stuff. And then we have format number. Returns a number in the requested format. For example, format number 123000 semicolon 2 semicolon period semicolon comma outputs it in the format you specified, like the comma and the period. Okay, yeah, they're gonna explain this. I can't explain this right now because I don't want to butcher it, but yeah, I think the 2 is the amount of decimal places, shows the change, and then the period is what you want them to put for those decimal places. So you can put, like, if this was a comma after the first 3 zeros, this would be a comma too. So that's why that period's there, and then the comma at the end before you close the parentheses is either where you want the comma to be placed, or like determines how much or how big the number is. I'm not really sure. I can't remember, but we're gonna go over it in this next section, but I just wanted to give like a brief explanation. Anyways, I'm gonna click next. A note about data types. It's important to note here that the average and all other math functions work only with the number or an array of numbers data type. If you use other data types with math functions, Make will output either empty or incorrect results. A common error happens with the text data type because, as you might remember, the text data type can store letters, numbers, and special characters. For example, you can store 3.14 both as text or number data type. Click each image to see the different results. This rule applies to all math functions. So I'm going to click on these pi symbols. If you store 3.14 as text data type, here named pi, and use it in the function below, you will get the incorrect result, as you see here. Yeah, so we already know that text data types don't work well with math or number functions, right? Okay, then I'm gonna click on this bottom one. If you stored 3.14 as number data type and use it in the function below, you will get the correct result, as you see here. Okay, yeah, number data types use number functions. Got it. Okay, this rule applies to all math functions. So remember, if you need to use math functions, make sure to use the parse number function to get the number data type first, and then use the math function you want. Okay, so parse number turns your number into a number data type. That's what I'm gathering from this. So yeah, that'll be important, I'm sure, to remember. That's interesting. So even if you're putting a number in there, So I guess it just depends on whatever you're trying to, whatever you're trying to get the math function, which in this case is the average function of, it has to be a number data type like this one. So if we're trying to do this with some kind of other type of data or other information, as long as we make sure that the data type is a number data type, if we're trying to use a math function, then we should be good. We shouldn't get any errors, or we shouldn't get incorrect information. So that's definitely important to remember. I'm not gonna go through in here and try to find a case where we can change a text data type into a number data type, just because I don't want to like try to, I don't even know what that would look like, to be honest with you. So we'll just keep that in the old dome here and move on to the next unit, because I'm pretty sure this one is about to end. And yeah, I was right. So now you should know how to use the average function and where this might be useful. So yeah, good stuff in this unit. I did want to cover this 5th unit. Let me see, I think I may have enough time to do this one real quick. Mark this task as complete, and let's just speed to this so we can just have the final assessment for the next video, and maybe like the first unit or so. So let's see. Unit introduction. Welcome to the final unit of transforming data using functions in Make Basics. The last function that you are going to explore in this course is formatNumber. By the end of this unit, you will understand how the formatNumber function works. Before you continue, make sure you've completed the exercise. Yeah, okay, click next. formatNumber, what does it do and what can it be used for? The formatNumber function is a tool that changes the way a numerical value is displayed and converts a number to a text/string. A common use case is separating thousands. For example, you have a number with the value of 1 million. You modify it to display commas to make it easier to read, e.g. 1 million with commas. Over the next few pages, you will perform an exercise that takes the value of 15,000 and use the formatNumber function to tell Make how you want this to appear. You will convert the value so it can appear in the following formats. So we have the 2 formats that we're gonna have this come in. This looks kind of wild with the comma before the single digit, but I don't know, maybe that's common somewhere. I have no idea. But yeah, we can kind of see what we were looking at before in the last unit. You see 1 million with the semicolon, number, comma, comma, right? That made this 1 million number turn into the 1 million with the commas. More easily readable, right? So I'm gonna click next. Structure of formatNumber. Now you have a value that can be transformed. Before you do that, let's explore how the formatNumber function works. The formatNumber function appears as follows. So we got formatNumber, then we have the number that represents the mapped value. Then we have X, Y, and Z. X represents the number of decimal points, Y represents the decimal separator, and Z represents the thousand separator. Note that the Y and Z are optional for the formatNumber function. If you do not specify these, they will default your organization settings. The aim for the next exercise is to take the value 150,000 and present it in this format. So it was actually 150,000. Yeah, so this was the little thing I was trying to explain before. X represents the number of decimal points and Y represents the decimal point separator. Yeah, so decimal point separator and thousand separator are these two little guys here. So I believe that this period is the thousands separator and the comma is the decimal separator. I may be wrong, but yeah, I'm pretty sure, if I am right, it makes it a little confusing because they're like swapped in the order that is. So like thousand separator would be the Z and decimal point separator would be the comma here. So let's go to the next slide and see if they explain it a little bit more. Exercise 1, generating a number. As with all of the functions that have been explored so far, you're going to need to build a scenario. Work through each stage before continuing. The purpose of this exercise is to create a bundle with a custom bundle of data named cost. The number is the most important part here, as it's what will be used in formatNumber. In order to do this, you are going to explore a new tool for the purpose of this exercise, basic trigger. Okay, so we're getting a new tool. Cool. I'm gonna click next slide. Create a new scenario and name it formatNumber exercise. Add a new module and search for tools, basic trigger. Alternatively, click the tool icon and select triggers, basic trigger. This will allow you to generate a bundle. This is a really handy tool for testing. Alternatively, you can access a quick build of this using scenario layout using this template. Okay, yeah, we're not using templates here. We're building them ourselves. So I'm gonna just save these changes and actually build a new scenario. So we're gonna go into our new scenario and then we're going to go into tools. We can also find them here on the little quick add tab here at the bottom, but we're just gonna click tools here and basic trigger is the first one. And that's all we're doing at this moment. Next slide. Open the basic trigger and click add item. This will create a branch of different items. Click add item again. This will create another branch that states name/value. In the name field, type cost. This will name the item and will display as cost when you attempt to map it. In the value field, type 150,000. Click OK when you are finished. Okay. So I did also forget to name this, so we'll just name it format number. And then in our basic trigger module, we're gonna click on add item, and then we're gonna go into the item where we just add and add another item, and then we can get this name and value field popped up, right? So in the name field, it said we're gonna name it cost, and in the value field, we're putting in 150,000. Just like that, we can save it there. And we'll might as well save our scenario. Go back to our example and click next slide. Let's look at the output of this module. Click run once and click the operations counter. You will see the output bundle as shown on the image. You now have data that you can map for the next stage of this exercise. Cool. So we're running this scenario so we can get data that we created that we can also map in another module. So it's all set up. Click run once. And now you can see that we have the data. So if I were to go to Google Sheets and add a row and we add all of our information, you can see that when we go into add something in our values, we can see cost as a mappable item, right? And we created that in the basic trigger, right? So let's go back to our course and click next. Add a Google Sheets add a row module to your basic trigger. Select basic functions as your spreadsheet ID, select format number as sheet name. Your configuration in the add a row module should look like this. We already set everything up for that. That's great. I'm gonna click next slide. Scroll down to the values. You should see the headings that you set up earlier in unit 1. Cost in column A, 1 decimal point in column B, and 2 decimal points in column C. The first step is to map cell A. Notice that the cost you created before appears here. This is what you will use going forward for mapping this exercise. Click within the cell and map the cost item. If you click run once now, you will see this mapped within your Google Sheets. It will show the default value of 150,000 with no commas or periods. So we're just mapping cost right now. I'm gonna see what else I want us to do. Click within cell 1 decimal point and navigate to the math functions tab and map format number. Map the cost and replicate the following function. Format number, and then in the parentheses, we're gonna have cost, semicolon 1, semicolon comma, semicolon period. Adding 1 will transform the number to 1 decimal point. Within make, it should look like this. If you click run once now, you will see this mapped within your sheet. It will show the value of 150,000 with a weird comma before the last zero. The function has separated the whole number to its fractional part by 1 using the separators which you specified. Yeah, so this first comma here is where this decimal point separator is coming from, and this 1 here is why there's only 1 number after the decimal point separator, and this period here is why the 150,000 has a period after the 150. Okay, so a little bit confusing. I know it's confusing me right now, even though I'm explaining it, but yeah. So I'm gonna actually click next slide to see what else they want us to do. Finally, repeat the same within the cell labeled 2 decimal points. This time, you should map the value 2 instead of 1. It should look like this. Format number, cost, semicolon 2, semicolon comma, semicolon period. If you click run once now, you will see this mapped within your sheet. It will show the value of 150,000 with a period and then this weird comma. But this time you see, because we put a 2, that it shows 2. So like say if it was 150,000 and 23 cents, this would be saying 23. I know in America this would be another period, so if that's how you wanted it to look, we would just change this first comma to another period. That's pretty much it. This is what you expect. Again, the function has separated the whole number to its fractional part by 2, using the separators which you specified. I'm gonna click next slide. Optional. You can choose to repeat this function with additional decimal points. For example, with 3 decimal points, this will return 3 decimal points. So you can just keep adding decimal points, I guess. So I'm gonna click next. Use case. Now you know how to map an item and use the formatNumber function. Where could this be usable? Let's look at the use case of Gareth. All right, so we have a business tab. Gareth has an online business selling cars. He wants to send invoices to his customers via email. And then we have a need tab. His accounting software returns values in the following style. Yeah, so you can see, you can take numbers that look like this and change them into more readable numbers. This isn't the neatest format, and Gareth wants to automate changing this format to a more readable value. Then we have format here. Gareth creates a scenario within make that will pull several values: name, email address, and invoice total to create and then email an invoice. When mapping the invoice total, he utilizes the formatNumber function as follows: formatNumber, invoice total, semicolon 2, semicolon period, semicolon comma. On the invoice, this is reflected as this number here. So you can see now that if with this formatNumber function put into his scenario, he can change the number from looking like this one right here to looking like this one right here. And I guess if you put a $sign in front, you can even have that. This ensures that his data is accurately represented and easy to understand by his customers, reducing the risk of errors or misinterpretation. Additionally, it has rounded his number up from 359 to 36. Yeah, so the 359 here is what he put in, and since he put 2 decimal points, it rounds it up. So that's pretty cool too. I'm gonna click next, and that's the end of the unit. So by this stage, you should know how the formatNumber function works and how this function can be utilized in a scenario. Yeah, so great stuff in these 2 units. You can transform the data. That's what we're doing in this course. We transform text data, we transform number data, and we can transform even the way it looks. So great stuff. In the next video, we'll probably be going over this end of course assessment, which is another 10 questions. And we'll be taking a look at the next course in the section, in the basic section. Almost through this basic section, then we'll be on to the intermediate section. We've come a long way, learning some good skills now. So stay tuned for the next video. If you thought any of this was interesting or you'd like to see more, please feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts, or hit that subscribe button. That's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.